Hello. I think I'm live. Um, I'm just gonna sit here and not say much until somebody arrives for now. Um, if anyone does arrive, obviously say hello in the chat. If you see the pinned message, it's like a paraphrase of a quote from Douglas Adams, Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency, which is not one of his Hitchhikers to the Galaxy books, but was a duo of books. There's Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency and The Long Dark Tea Time of the Soul. Are the two books. Very Douglas Adams-esque, but say not in Hitchhikers. Yeah. So, can't see anyone here for now. So, it has been a while since I've done this. So, and I understand there are other streams going on. I think Pete Johns is streaming at the moment. So, but at the end of the day, this will be available to view later. I do want to say thank you to recent new subscribers. Sherry, it's very good to see you again. And Izza, I think, is one of the guys' names, and Camellia today. So thank you very much. Apologies to anyone who subscribed recently. I'm either not aware or I'm not aware. So, yeah. Let's see. Okay. So the quote, and if you see next to my name, I've got like a robot and a horse, and that's because the electric monk is a robot, and if I remember correctly, he's riding on a horse through a desert, which it mentions at the end of the quote that they're quintillion miles away from Salt Lake City, but as I recall, they are sat in a desert on a horse, and they're a labour-saving device, much as you have a dishwasher to help you avoid washing dishes or to wash your dishes for you, and a video recorder, a VCR as we used to call them. Now you've got the internet or TiVo or Netflix. But back in the day, with broadcast TV or pre-recorded films, you would buy them on tape. And if you're like, oh, I'm too tired to watch that now, so you'd record it, you'd stick it on a tape somewhere, probably not label it, and then years later you'd find it again and go, what is on that? And maybe then go, oh yeah, that's that film I was going to watch 3 years ago. Never did get around to watching it. It's a good job the video watched it for me. And then also there's, there was always a risk with unlabeled videos of it being something else entirely. So not a good idea to play them publicly if you didn't know exactly what they were. So, So the electric monk would save you the labour of believing everything that you were now expected to believe. And as time goes on, you're expected to believe more and more things that were just, as it says, onerous. Just like, I can't believe that you were expecting me to fall for that, or to or to suspend my disbelief for that. And I mean, this book was written a while ago, so I think in the 80s. So even before the internet was even a gleam in our eyes, even before most people were aware of the internet, it was already getting to that point for people where they felt an electric monk might be something that would lessen the burden of modern life shall we say. And I think increasingly we can all empathize somewhat with the robot, even though it is a robot, and as such, can't really empathize with it. If it's a machine, then surely there's no one there to empathize with. Which, considering the rise of AI at the moment, again seems a bit topical, a bit relevant, shall we say. I'm starting to talk about AI a little bit on Justine's stream with Polwelt there, who has some knowledge of the situation and has indeed worked on AI as well at some point. And there was there's a guy that I've seen in chats a lot, Deep Burrito, who seemed very keen on AI and was interested to have a conversation with them, but they never did get back to me on the community tab. So, which is a shame because, like, obviously, pretty much everybody has an opinion, whether they voice it or not. But it's when somebody seems to be so invested and has such a strong opinion that they can't seem to hold back on. It's like, okay, I'd like to have a conversation with this person rather than, trying to distract from somebody else's stream that's going on or whatever. So, yeah, so if you do hear this deep, then obviously feel welcome to reply to the post or send me a message or say hello here. I'm aware that some people may be watching that haven't got the ability to chat. So, but anybody else, obviously, don't feel shy. I don't bite, not normally. So yeah, it was kind of like if anybody's got anything that they particularly roll their eyes at or get frustrated with, like, oh, I can't believe that I'm being expected to believe that, you've got to be kidding me. Or whether you just feel like the monk that there's an increase in number of things, or that there's an increase in number of things that are just ridiculous or beyond the pale in whatever way. And of course, there are some really horrifying examples, and there are positive, more hopeful examples as well, I'm sure. Like, I'm trying to think of examples, and with everything else going on in the world, both at home and abroad, it's very hard not to think of anything that isn't political, and if anybody has seen me around on the internet, they realize that political stuff is in my head quite a lot. But okay, so there's one example I can think of that's like very scientific, and I forget the explanation because it's been a while since I heard it, but the idea that color doesn't exist at all, it's like a shared illusion. So something like our the sense arguably that humans pay attention to the most being sight, and then to have what to us is a basic component of that, i.e. color vision, the idea of that being illusory. And because my first thought is, well, you can measure different wavelengths of light, different wavelengths of the electromagnetic spectrum. So if you can measure that objectively using something other than senses, through instruments, through tools, through the extension of our senses, through technology, then how can that be an illusion? I suppose an answer to that might be, we understand how motion cameras and TV works, or video recorders or digital cameras, persistence of vision, and that's an optical illusion. Even though you can measure it through an extension of technology, it's still we perceive it as being a moving image when most of us are aware that it's 24 frames a second or up and higher, depending on what VDU you have now, I guess. There are different refresh rates when it comes to animals as well, though. Like a fly has a far higher refresh rate for its sight than humans do, for example, which is one reason why they can evade you trying to swap them quite so easily. I think there's an argument, or it's shown that their sense of time is highly accelerated, and that's to do with the refresh rate of their sight. So for them, everything is moving in bullet time in the matrix time. So yeah, when everything's like that for you, it'd be quite easy to avoid being squished, avoid being made two-dimensional. So yeah, so color, I guess, shared illusion. Expected to believe that that's a shared illusion. Yeah, I'd have to refresh my mind on why that's the thing. So I'm trying to think of other examples that I can. Yeah, one that came to mind from somebody that I've known a long time, or did know a long time, and very intelligent person, wide range of interests, yada yada. Excellent schooling, if excellent means paid a lot of money for. I'm trying to a similar age to me as well, being middle Gen Xer, so arguably similar media landscape and more similar than two people that are 30 now, because the fractured media landscape now. So similar cultural reference points, etc., in a lot of ways, and asking me to believe that hot water and soap don't actually help clean things or kill germs, which I found surprising. And asked where they learned that, and they said at school. So I'm aware, for example, that Boris Johnson went to a very posh school and paid a lot of money for it. And when it was explained to him the difference between relative and absolute risk as regards the pandemic, he had to be told every 24 hours what that meant. And so he may be able to make references to Greek poetry whilst he's pontificating, whilst he's waffling on. But simple concepts like that, it was apparently beyond him. So education a good paid education, the best schools in the land, doesn't necessarily mean that you understand much of anything. But yeah, hot water and soap don't do anything. So most organisms exist in a range of temperatures and a range of pH, or a range of things being alkaline or acidic. And although there are things that exist at the outer extremes, most exist in the middle. And so if you have a strong alkali solution and high temperature, then, I understand there's an argument for like bubbles help loosen things, and that helps loosen grease and dirt off of things. And that's not necessarily killing germs, but is reducing the contact that you can have with them after the washing process. But I'm pretty sure that the strong alkaline temperature also helps rupture cell membranes, and yeah, so I'm not and denature proteins for viruses, there being not a particular cell membrane to breach there. So it's on my list of many, many things to look up to see if there's a kernel of truth in what he's saying somewhere, but it just sounds so ridiculous. And ultimately just seemed like I was being asked to believe that hot water and soap don't clean things, which would then mean that I would be okay with him continuing to wash the dishes by just running them under the cold tap, which I wasn't about to concede on. So yeah. So there you go, a personal example and a scientific one. So, and there are, of course, of course, many other examples. Bird, hello. I'm not sure what the delay is between um, me seeing the chat and you having hit enter. It's normally like 12 to 30 seconds, but I'm not sure what it is today. Oh, that's a bit. Ah, there it is. I wonder how are you today, Bird? 13 seconds. Cool. Thank you very much. See, I should have set that up as like, let's time this, but Bird's already on it. How are you doing today, Bird? What is occurring in your world? Are you still going live as much as you were before? Because yeah, you think thing is, I spend so much time on YouTube that it takes me like missing 2 uploads or 2 live streams, and your notifications go down, or just don't get shown to me because I'm watching so much stuff all the time. So it can be a lot of the time it means that I have to consciously remember to go and check people's channels if it's not like the top 5 that I watch or whatever. Yeah, I did wonder. I did wonder. You have no electric monks, no. But do you feel that you need an electric monk, Bird? That's the thing. Ah, of course, yeah, yeah. Not just a teacher either. With the particular teaching that you do, I'd imagine that's even more demanding and therefore tiring. Although the cliche is more rewarding ultimately as well. Yeah, considering the additional pressures that you have now, because Send is under always underfunded, but like it's a hot issue here at the moment in mainstream news, Send education. So yeah, I can't remember how long you've been doing your new job for, but again, doing the new job kind of wears things out of you as well. I always find there's a lot to navigate, getting to know new people, my way around a building, things like that. Google Maps doesn't work very well inside a building, I find, which is a real shame in some ways. So yeah, but do you feel like you could do with an electric monk? Do you feel worn out with being expected to believe all the things you're asked to believe? Mm. Keep getting promoted. That makes it sound like you've had at least 2 promotions, and I don't think you've been there very long. You're a victim of your own success, potentially. Either that or they're just really low on staff. I am joking, of course. No, that's really cool though, Bird. That's awesome. Get flipping heck. All right, steady on. 3 since October. That's hang on, let me take my shoes and socks off. That's one every that's one every very quickly. That's wow. Blimey. I'm hoping that you're getting the attendant pay rises as well. And like perks, like free chocolate at the end of every week, or I don't know, something. At least pay rises anyway. Let's hope so. Hmm. No, that's really cool. It sounds as though it's going well, but how are you finding it there? Is it like better or worse than previous similar jobs you've had, or just completely different? Or hey, Prodigal, hello, hello. How you doing? Good to see you. Yeah, I appreciate you guys giving my poems a listen, as I do everybody who's ever listened to my stuff. The first couple I uploaded, it was kind of just like, I want to upload this now, and it was all kind of a bit of a rush in a sense. So I'm going to try and choose one that's more less contentious and potentially a little bit more on the sunny side. So Yeah, there's a sunny, but maybe at the end rather than all the way through or whatever. But yeah, I really like your stuff, Prodigal. So um, the uh, the sound as well as the lyrics and stuff. So yeah, and Birdfinger as well. But the character that is Birdfinger. Mhm. Mm. Mhm. Yeah, so Prodigal, I was asking Bird if you feel that you could do with an electric monk in the sense of a labor saving device that would believe some of the nonsense or weird or fantastical things that you're being asked to believe day by day. Um, I say it's a quote from a book which was written in the 80s, but I hear and I can see that people are increasingly kind of like, you want me to believe that? You must be what are you on? That's insane. How could I possibly believe what you're telling me there to be the case? And it can be tiring after a while, especially as sometimes what you're being asked to believe is so at odds with what you can clearly see the case to be. So yeah, and I gave some examples that aren't like political and topical at the moment. So hearing that colour is apparently a shared illusion, which I just find bizarre. And then another one where a guy I've known for a long time was trying to tell me that hot water and soap didn't actually kill germs, which ultimately I felt was just an excuse to carry on cleaning dishes by running them under the cold tap and then putting them on the side. So, oh, okay. Okay. Well, you see, this is part of the thing that I thought might come up, Bird, is beliefs should be our own exclusively, and shared beliefs are for cults. Um, yeah, yeah, I really like Douglas Adams' Prodigal. I really like him. It kind of annoys me that some people that are atheists and what I would call angry atheists kind of like hold Douglas Adams up as, I mean, you know, he said he was an atheist, but to me, like his books, as much as they're comedy and they're science fiction or got fantasy elements in at times, um, they are still thought provoking. And to me, like, you know, hopefully get you thinking about things like, you know, why do we have money? What is it actually used for? And he even mentioned in one of his books about um, somebody on Earth had had the thought of, wouldn't it be nice if we all just love each other? And kind of like it was almost suggested in the book. It was almost like she was the second coming, and then she was in a calf, and before she could tell anybody this amazing idea, she got killed when the Vogons blew up Earth to make way for the hyperspace bypass. So yeah. I mean, the thing is, Bed, like, I do understand what you're saying there. And again, I've heard the opinion recently from a couple of people that we all know that are like, um, everybody's got their opinion, everybody feels the need to say it. And I understand that frustration. Um, but one of my things is like, we're at such a point now that if we don't talk about our beliefs or how we see things, then much louder voices are going to just continue telling us that things are otherwise. And I don't know that that's a particularly good thing at the moment. But it's difficult because, like, I was thinking to myself, and um, you know, the opinion that you don't need to voice your opinion is an opinion in itself. Um, but it's like everybody's got an opinion about whether their opinion and what they think about things. Even if you like, I don't have an opinion about that. It's like, well, that's your opinion. It's not to have a particular stance on it. And you either genuinely believe that, or your opinion is that you don't feel that it's worth um, saying what you think, which again is fine. I don't, you know, I have empathy for all of the different points of view when it comes to this discussion. So yeah, yeah, absolutely, yeah, yeah. If in this day of social media, everyone is their own editor. Yeah, absolutely. Um, and the thing is that one of my things about technology and social media and the internet is that it's almost that idea of there's nothing new under the sun. It's like the issues thrown up by social media and the internet are issues that we've already always dealt with. It's just that they are exacerbated or thrown into starker relief, exaggerated, and move at such a quicker speed than they used to. Um, like if I often say to somebody, like people say, "Oh, I've got an internet friend I've known for like 20 years at this point," and people will be very dismissive, and it's like, "Oh, how can you say that they're an internet friend? What does that even mean? You don't know. They could, unless you've seen their face, they could be, you know, somebody completely different on the other side of the world to who they're telling you," which is, absolutely true. But when I meet somebody face to face down the pub and don't know them and like we just get chatting at the bar or whatever, I don't know if they live in the same town as me ultimately, or whether they live the other side of the country. Um, I don't know if they work in the job that they're telling me they work in. So, um, yeah, it's obviously it's easier on the internet to lie about who you are, and with AI now, it could be next to impossible to ascertain whether or not people are who they say they are. So then, to me, the thing would be um, choosing whether or not it's worth engaging with that interaction online, knowing full well that it could be a person or not. Because even if the thing you're interacting with is a bot, somebody else could read that interaction, and that can have some impact on how they think or feel. So that's kind of because even if it's a real person, if they're a paid troll, for example, then it's going to be the same as talking to a bot anyway, because they've got a set script and prepaid answers to provide you with. So yeah, right, yeah. I kind of feel that way as well, Prodigal. If it weren't for the internet right now, um, I go on Justine's panel once a week, and that's the most I talk to other people. So, yeah, do plenty of interaction and talking, just not face to face with people at the moment. Who is the omniscient judge of what is right and for how long? Well, indeed, and that's um, that's another thing, isn't it? And I think that's one reason why people get frustrated with opinions sometimes is it's like you're giving me your opinion. A, I haven't asked for it, or you're giving me your opinion that you've asked for. But what makes you so sure that you're right? And sometimes I give my opinion, and it's not so much to say, "Oh, I think I'm right" or "I know I'm right." It's just like this is what I think. What do you think? It's an invitation for discussion rather than trying to trying to judge. So yeah, well, um, yeah, connection. How do you get real? We are all friends. Oh, you mean good, meaningful friends, right? Says Bird. And Prodigal apparently gets people calling him a bot, which I find ridiculous. So yeah, um, yeah. How to get good connections? So again, I think that is something potentially harder to do over the internet, but there's also can make it easier as well. Um, It's like I don't have to see this person face to face the next day. If you get to know people at work, you've got th- how your paid persona interacts with your like friendly social side, and trying to balance the two. And some people I've met say, "Well, I just don't. It's work. I don't come here to make friends." Um, so yeah, I'm not a bot. Beep beep. Well, I'm glad to hear that, Bird. Although, again, with Prodigal or Bird, trying to say that you guys are a bot is just ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, like I say, if you're careful before AI, you could completely concoct an alternative persona and pretend to be other people. And that was part of the appeal of the internet to a lot of people is anonymity, and it wasn't even necessarily to be nefarious or evil or to scam people. It was a case of reinventing themselves or bring in aspects of their own genuine personality to the fore that they didn't feel able to express in real life. Like, oh, I can be more confident online than I can in real life. I know that I'm not going to lose my job as a result, this can't be tied back to me. So, although there are again issues with that now, which have always been issues, but increasingly so with AI, with dead internet theory and yeah, there's so many spam bots on various platforms now. Like my Twitter DMs are just constant porn bots all the time, like 20 or so very quickly, and I try and like report and then block them all, and do so many in a row that Twitter then goes, "Oh, there's been a problem," and I'm like, "Yeah, there's a problem because you won't do anything about this." That's the problem. And also, why should it be freezing up just because I'm doing a repetitive action? So yeah, yeah. So like I say, a lot of things we're asked to believe, and increasingly it feels to me like the AI thing. On the one hand, we're supposed to believe that it's going to solve all of our problems, and on the next, that it's going to be the end of us as a species. And I think, well, both are potentially true, but yeah. Thanks, Prodigal, and you too. You too. Yeah. Like I say, our Prime Minister Starmer here is like, with all the problems that we have here, which are similar to problems that other countries have too, it's like, oh, well, we're going to invest in AI. And it's like, okay, you keep saying that, but what does that mean? Because at the moment, what it means is that artists are getting ripped off, and that the creative industries that you've already helped further break down in this country are, have another avenue through which they're being attacked, and being attacked by multinational companies. And you've got intellectual property being the law changed through lobbying, so you've now got copyright being extended for forever, and like some copyright stuff not going into the public domain anywhere as soon as it should have done, for example, and killing small entrepreneurs and inventors and innovators and stuff like that. And I mean, Paul was talking about that himself on stream last night, about he put a load of work in and came up with a new concept even for computers to help them run more efficiently and at higher speeds, and gets told he's being silly and go away, and then he turns around and his ideas everywhere. And I mean, I've had that happen on a far lower level, working in call centers, being asked to write training manuals or processes because it needs to go off to a regulator for the industry I'm working in, and then find it circulated a month later, still in the font and color I use for emails to myself, being sent out to everybody and saying, "Oh, big up this team leader because he put all this work into this and the regulator has approved it." And I'm just sat there going, "You complete and utter bastard. I can't believe you did that." I said to my colleagues, "That's mine." And they went, "Yeah, we did Wonderline. That's the color and font you always use for internal emails for notes to yourself." So yeah, just crazy. Tower of Babel. AI is yes. AI is AI's biggest investor. Tower of Babel, I promise. Now, I've heard as much. It's like the Ponzi scheme on steroids, where it's like OpenAI has put a shed load of money into Google's one, and Maya, I think it is, and then this Google's one is Gemini. Maya's by Sesame. So yeah, they've all like basically donated each money around to each other in a big circle. It's apart from anything else, it's ridiculous. Collaboration is the price of community living. Let stolen credit come out in the wash. Yeah, I would agree with you. It's just that yeah, I kind of understand what you're saying, but it's within the current system that we have, and a manager is doing it to somebody who they're managing. And it was just so blatant, and because it was almost like you've stolen that from me and you're taking credit, and you just have no intention even of hiding it. That was the thing, right? And then I just have to carry on smiling and playing the game after that. And that's one of the things I find so hard about being employed is I'm quite mild mannered, but I'm quite opinionated. And I try and either stay quiet or say what I mean and mean what I say. And it doesn't go down at work very well all the time, or even in my personal life all the time. People don't always want to hear what you sincerely, or even hear what you want to think at all. But yeah, um, yeah, it get me in a lot of trouble. I mean, it's one of the reasons I struggle to think about going back to work now is that ultimately I don't want to be arrested, and I don't know if I can keep my temper if somebody asks me to do something fucking stupid or nasty or whatever. It's like, yeah. I mean, one of the reasons I never thought I'd become a manager is that I didn't want to have to ultimately come down on the side of business interests over um, people interests. So I used to train people, but I saw that as a stress reduction exercise for all of us. This person was going to be asking all of us underpaid, overworked people for less help while we're trying to work, and also the new person's stress would be reduced because rather than being told sit over there and you'll pick it up after a week of crying in the corner, I could help them, show them the ropes and stuff. But managing something completely different. I had to sack a couple of people once because I tried being a manager and it was horrendous. So as horrendous and worse than I thought it would be. I work with 95% American women, a minefield of good manners where I feel safe. Yeah, yeah, that's interesting comment. Good manners. Yeah, because some people say to me, "Oh, well, the reason why you're having a problem at that place of work, Limey, is that you work mainly with women." And I'm like, they could be really bitchy and infighting and all that. And I'm like, nah. My first job was in a factory and they were all men bar one. And that was pretty bitchy and gossipy, to be fair. So yeah, just in a different way. So yeah, I'm never convinced by that. But yeah, I do kind of get what you mean about a minefield of good manners where I feel safe. Yeah. It has felt like that sometimes for me, but then other places, not so much. Because it has been but then no, the blokes were the same there. I think it was more the environment of the company, everything, to be fair. Like the last job I had was pretty bad for all of that kind of nonsense. I was being expected to believe by my manager that I was working like low level in a bank and just above minimum wage. I'm being expected to believe by my manager that everything the state does is bad and it's all communism. I mean, literally, and this guy's like a few years older than me. It's not even like he's been broken by the internet. And everything's really bad by the government, blah, blah, blah. But he's working for a multinational bank that got one of the biggest bailouts of my money and all of our money after the 2008 crash. And I'm like, if it wasn't for the state, you wouldn't have a job because this bank wouldn't exist. In actual fact, it's still mostly owned by us. What the hell are you talking about? It's like, if your version of how everything should worked, we wouldn't have needed to bail you buggers out. We wouldn't have to keep doing it every 10, 20, 30 years, etc. So, yeah, just insane. Yeah. Well, let's see. Yeah. So, I mean, that is somewhat political and topical, I suppose, isn't it? The whole wealth tax that they've been talking about here. And if we ask for wealth taxes, it means that they're all going to leave. I'm expected to believe that taxing, I think, the Green Party's idea is, I think it's taxing billionaires 2% over a certain amount. So it's not even on their entire wealth, it's over a certain amount. And then multimillionaires 1% over a certain amount. And you will see people that are on benefits or welfare, and then people that work in call centers, the people that work in banks, people that own a small business, people that work from, as a top manager in a multinational, all crying like they're about to have all of their personal property confiscated and burnt in a big pile. And it's like, I'm sorry, you're a secret multi-millionaire or billionaire now. And then there was that phrase about, most Americans believe they're a temporarily embarrassed millionaire, meaning the reason that so many poor people are against fair taxes for wealthy people is that they believe tomorrow they're going to be a millionaire. They're just temporarily embarrassed. It'll be sorted out tomorrow. And now I think obviously that's upgraded to, a lot of us seem to think that we're temporarily embarrassed billionaires. So regardless of, there's only, well, I say only, I think there's like 150, 200 billionaires in this country or something. Every time you mention taxing wealthy people, the really wealthy a bit more, 99% of the people in the country cry. And it's like, you know how Del Boy in Only Fools and Horses used to constantly say, don't worry, Rodney, this time next week we'll all be millionaires. It's like, guys, you guys have been, that was a joke. You guys have been holding that in your heads for decades now. It didn't happen. It didn't happen. So yeah, and this, they're leaving things. Studies have shown that the rich will leave when you tax them, and then you look into it, and it was like 15 people's location on LinkedIn is what that's being based on. It's like, you guys, this is not serious. This is something you're asking me to believe, then that just it doesn't stand up to scrutiny. So yeah, banks are communists by definition and facts. Yeah, because it's socialize the losses. So we believe in communism and community when it comes to making sure that the banks are seen as too big to fail, and they are too big to fail. But when it comes to small business starters or people that actually work for their money in a 9 to 5 or 9 to 9 or 6 till 2 or 6 till 6, then if you go broke, you're on your own. That's it. So yeah, the big banks get our money to help bail them out. And then, because after 2008 as well, in America and the UK, they passed laws in order to separate the casino money that they gamble with and our money, in order to avoid all of our saved wealth and deposits getting gambled away. So they separate it out. And then ever since those laws were passed, they have tried to dismantle them. And in the US, they've been successful now. And in the UK, they're talking about doing it. They're saying the banks are deregulated. They need deregulating. It was deregulating the banks that helped lead up to the 2008 crash. I remember when the 2008 crash happened, we were asked to believe that it was the big banks and people who wanted to get on the property ladder, and estate agents encouraging people to say they're self-employed because then you don't have to provide proof of earnings, and then people can get one or two houses that they clearly can't afford, and it doesn't matter because the estate agents get loads of money for the sale as commission, and the banks get their mortgages. And even though the bank knows that it's bad debt, apparently you can sell debt and it's still a valuable asset and you can make money on it, which is, again, something I'm asked to believe that I just really, really struggle with. So subprime mortgage crisis, it all falls on its ass. For 2 weeks, we're asked to blame the rich and the powerful. And then after that, it was the pause, and we were paying for it ever since. Austerity might have just about to come to an end, and then the pandemic happens, and the people that were asked to pay for the economy shut down and all of the billions going for PPE that didn't exist, we're expected to pay for that as well. And now the tide's changing, where it's like, hang on a minute, why did we have to pay for 2008? We all agreed for 2 weeks it was rich and powerful. Then we were asked to believe that it was the fault of there was 2 libraries in Wolverhampton rather than none. And so as a result, people can have a public library because that was the fault. That was what caused the 2008 crash. I mean, it's just absolute nonsense. So if you pay a lot of taxes, yeah, absolutely. Double world wellness. Banks are skimming just like, yeah. I mean, Zach Polanski has said what a lot of people have been saying for a hell of a long time, is that capital gains tax, for example, and income tax capital gains tax is far less than income tax. So you can have somebody working as a cleaner in a building and they will be paying less tax than the person who owns the building. And the person who owns the building can go to sleep and earn more money while they're asleep, in scare marks, air quotation marks, earn more money while they're asleep than the cleaner working their entire life. And they're working harder because they've managed to draw breath while they're asleep. I mean, it's being asked to believe that is just nonsense. It's I think it's less than 10 people own the same amount of wealth as 50% of the entire world. So I'm being asked to believe that 8 people, the work that they do is equivalent to 4 billion people. And considering a substantial amount of 4 billion, or a large part, I don't know what the percentage would be, but how many people in the world are subsistence farmers? You're telling me that somebody that's breaking their back and scraping their hands to the bone every day, working as a subsistence farmer, is doing less work than somebody who's sleeping on 10 mattresses in a mega heated fucking penthouse flat somewhere. It's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. Each of these rich people is doing the equivalent work of 500 million people. It just doesn't make any sense. Absolutely ridiculous. And I just find it incredible that so many people seem to believe that, regardless of. I don't think anyone believes it. It's just like the reason. I had a conversation with someone. I said, why do you honestly don't think you're going to be a million or a billionaire tomorrow? So why do you have this attitude? And it's like, well, I might be. You're not going to be. Why wouldn't you do what everybody tells me to do and live in the real world? Realistically, you're never going to be that rich. So, yeah, crazy. Yeah. Oh, and capital gains tax. If you say equalize capital gains tax, so the money that people get while they're not working, and equalize income tax, the money that people do get while they're actually working. Some people will call you a communist. So you've been asked to believe that that's a communist thing to suggest. And then I found out that capital gains tax and income tax was equalised under Margaret Thatcher. So I'm now being asked to believe that equalising income and capital gains tax means that Margaret Thatcher was a communist, which, considering so many politicians on the supposed left and right think that Maggie Thatcher is the best thing since sliced bread because she was such a neoliberal. Again, I find that hard to believe. That I'm now being asked to believe that Maggie Thatcher is a communist is okay then. I mean, I like smoking. Where the hell are you getting yours from? Oh, Jesus. Yeah. So, let's see. I don't know. Yeah, the worm is not for turning. Oh, the lady is not for turning. I beg your pardon. Yeah, and to get on to, it's like I say, the thing is that I absolutely understand what people say when they're like, I really wish people would shut up and talking about things or whatever. But the people with the microphones and the megaphones are not going to stop talking. And the people with the loudest megaphones at the moment are some bad people. They are some bad people. So I kind of feel like, people should be talking. But yeah. So I mean, I try to not talk about it in people's chats and not talk about it on Justine's panel, for example. But yeah, it's just I'd say I think we're all in need of an electric monk came into mind the other day because, like I say, the things we've been asked to believe. So, and one of those very recently was the shooting of Renee Good, being asked to believe that she was a domestic terrorist in the US, which I found ridiculous. And another point in my life where I thought I need an electric monk for that. And then the other one, obviously, being Alex Peretti and his shooting as well. I can understand, like I can with a lot of things, how if you're only being told one version of things and you're only being shown certain angles and certain edits, that you can believe something, and the majority of other people can believe something else entirely. Um, and this is the thing, because technology means that we all now can see what the camera sees, and the camera never lies. But the thing is, the camera does lie. Problem is that reality can lie. It's been shown. You can have people witness those same events in real life that were physically there in that time and space at those coordinates, and you'll get 3 different eyewitness accounts of what happened. But if you've got it on replay and you can potentially zoom in and change contrast and things, all the rest of it, then that technology does enable you to potentially view things and really work out what's happening. The Minnesota thing seems staged here in post AI times. Could you be more specific, Bird, about what you mean by the Minnesota thing? Because there's quite a lot happening in Minnesota at the moment. So I don't know if you just mean the whole thing or the incidents themselves, or yeah, I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. And the thing is, I think it is possible to cut through a lot of the AI stuff if people are aware and can deconstruct the media that they're experiencing and interacting with. My fear is that both myself and other people, and even digital natives, seem unwilling or unable to actually do that, even when it comes to straight video. Never mind AI stuff. So the eye shooting incidents. I don't know. I'm not quite sure how. See, that's the thing with something so high profile like that. I'm not sure, quite sure how they can be staged. And I mean, people talk about red flag events, and I think there have been cases where it's been shown that they have been. I don't necessarily know if that's the case in the States, but certainly other places. And again, it's good to be cynical and it's good to be questioning or whatever, but I just think you could go too far the other way, where it's just like, there's a lot of bad stuff happening. I don't think it's all staged. So then how do you, yeah, I mean, do you have any kind of reasoning or evidence to think that those are staged, Bird, or is it more just a feeling? Which I'm not going to dismiss a feeling if that's what it is. I'm just trying to, ascertain if it is just, a feeling, or if there's, something underpinning that more. Yeah, I mean, I saw a guy who I was kind of like hanging around with a few months back, and I popped to his live shortly after Renee Good got shot, and he was talking about, basically she had it coming and blah blah blah. But again, like, I'm well aware that as much as they say that they try and look around things, they'll look at CNN for 5 seconds and then go watch the other stuff for like 2 hours, and then it's like, oh well, yeah, you can see that this is clearly what happened. I mean, I suppose at least they say that they make the effort to consider different sources, but I'm not sure what their opinion of what happened to Beretti is going to be, because again, I've seen that incident from about 5 different angles now, and distances, and each time it was like getting closer, and it was different angles, and each time it became clearer and clearer what had happened. So, hmm, hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's you wouldn't be alone in that, Bird, for sure. There's people today that I've seen that have made the point, and I haven't double checked this, but they've made the point that Obama deported more people than Trump currently is. Of course, the difference would be how that's being done. Because it was like people used to say to me, "Oh well, Obama killed more people using drones than anybody else," and it's like, yeah, I don't dispute that. I haven't, to be fair, I haven't double checked that, but I wouldn't be surprised. So, and there are immediate things that come to mind as regards drone strikes. So, in all sorts of ways. So yeah, distraction to the real event. I mean, people have been saying it's a distraction to the Epstein files, but then people said the Epstein files is a distraction from this thing. It's there's just so much stupid. It's a smorgasbord of shit, basically. While we watch Cave the Banks Got Rich and AI and see the art world. Yeah, the banks got rich, and also politicians and their friends got rich. You had the insider trading both sides of the pond, as regards, shorting or buying or selling stocks in certain things before the pandemic was announced or things, became scarce. Which was another thing talked about now with, is it Kalshi, the Polymarket betting trend thing? What was it that happened with that? Was it? Oh shit! Someone on an account placed a massive bet, and then I think it was either Trump did something or announced something, and then they cleaned out and closed their account straight away. And it's like, well, they looks like they're an insider of the government, and that was insider trading. But yeah, so the banks got rich as always, and that's the thing. See, like during COVID, the wealth transfer upwards was absolutely astronomical, and again during after the 2008 crash and austerity, the wealth transfer up is incredible. And all the while, we're being told that the people that are lower on the social economic ladder than we are not only poorer and more precarious when it comes to their working life and their home life, but actively have prejudice on a personal and system level. And we're being told to believe that this person who is worse off than we are is the person that's making us poorer over decades now. And it's like, no. Again, I'm being asked to believe that, and I just don't see how that's true. Yeah, and again, you wouldn't be the only one, Bird. I mean, that's the other thing, because like the Republicans and now MAGA, because they are, in my mind, different, will pass laws and make things worse in some directions, and then the Dems come in and either don't roll back or actually build on it. So, and increasingly, that's what's happened with Labour here. They're chasing the Tories. Tories are chasing reform. Reform's chasing MAGA, and they're all chasing each other off the edge of a cliff. So yeah, and again, like the because to my mind, the Dems have been more right wing than Labour are here. I don't know. I know that there was a big, as they call it, like shift between the Dems and the Republicans as regards race and stuff. What's it called? The platform swap or whatever. I forget what it's called. And I'm not aware of anything happening like that in the UK. The Labour Party were literally built on the Labour movement, and their funding came from union subscriptions made up of working class people from the general public, as opposed to being funded by the royal family or aristocracy or rich industrialists. And that's kind of, then things follow from there. The Conservative Party are about tradition and preserving money for rich people, because ultimately they are benevolent, and they will, the trickle down economy, which is to me the equivalent of the king goes out and throws some gold coin at you every now and again while you fight each other in the mud for it. And that's kind of like what you have now. So to me, the Labour Party was always more left wing than the Democratic Party. But both parties have gone to the right. Labour have caught up with the Democrats and in some ways overtaken them. So, and one of the, Thatcher called Blair of New Labour in the late 90s her greatest achievement, because they got rid of Clause 4, which had basic socialist underpinnings for the party. And they have Starmer, who again has done a massive purge of the left wing of the Labour Party, and it's changed the funding from union to big business. Now Labour and Tories are fighting for the same funding, because they have the same funding model. So, yeah. Yeah. The thing is, Bird, when I heard the thing of, oh, look at Blair, he's got nice hair, and oh, look at Clinton, he wears jeans and plays the guitar, I'm like, it's over. Even as somebody who knew next to nothing about politics and, being a lot younger as well, I was just like, what bullshit? What bullshit is that? I'm being asked to believe again that I should have anything really to think about somebody's haircut, let alone that Blair has a good haircut and Clinton wears jeans and plays guitar. I mean, just fuck off. Just fuck off. Jesus Christ. I was happy to have voted Labour in 97, I think it was, for about 2 weeks. And again, even as somebody being quite politically illiterate, I was like, we've been had, haven't we? They're going to do some good stuff, but they're not stopping closing down the hospital that I currently work in, for example. So the rate of privatisation of the NHS actually accelerated under New Labour. So as much as they might have helped reduce waiting lists or the rest of it, they accelerated the rate of privatisation that my mum used to complain about working as a nurse in the NHS under Thatcher. So again, it's nothing. The privatisation of the NHS is nothing new. It's just that we're further down the process, and there's new tools being used to convince everybody it's shit, and that we should pay through the nose like you do in the States. Like we should have another layer of bureaucracy in the sense of insurance companies, who everybody knows. I don't know anybody either side of the pond that loves insurance companies, but we're being told by UK and US people that we should love insurance and we should get them involved in our healthcare. And I'm like, again, I'm being asked to believe this, and I'm like, what the fuck are you smoking, and where can I get it from? The fuck? And you're not the only one, Bird. And that is so infuriating. I would rather be ill or disabled, even permanently, than give you. Mind you, it's similar to me. I'd rather sit here freezing my fucking balls off all winter than give you energy companies a penny more of the money, the pittance that I get to live on. I'm quite good at dealing with the cold as it goes. Fuck you. When it drops below 0, I have to put it on, but only then for an hour. I'm like, yeah, because I'm good at living within my means, even when I don't really have much means. So, yeah, Jesus. If I didn't do that, then my cat would have to go out and fend for herself entirely. I wouldn't be able to buy a kibble anymore, and she would be very unhappy. It's like, you're making me work for food? What the hell? Wait till I get opposable thumbs. You're going to be out on your ear. Yeah, no, absolutely. It's yeah, because so much of your healthcare money goes to insurance companies. You pay far more and you get far worse outcomes. And there are a couple of measures that I've seen Americans that want to privatize your guys' healthcare more and like get rid of Medicaid and Medicare and stuff, and are trying to argue with Brits here saying that we should privatize the NHS here. And they'll go, yeah, insurance companies, they're great. And it's like, no. Like I say, I don't know anybody who likes insurance companies, so it kind of boggles my mind that anybody would think that they should get involved in anything they're not already involved in. So I don't have insurance for anything because I'm like, I don't gamble. I don't know how to work out odds. I can't afford it. And it's like, if everything of mine got burnt tomorrow, I don't really have anything worth any money. Like the most expensive thing I own probably is God, my oven. So 11 centigrade. Yeah, all right, show off. I mean, that's cool, but I'm not too bad. It's only going to be down to 5 degrees centigrade here tonight, whereas you guys in the States are just. I was saying on stream, it was just like, oh, the States is going to be the winter wonderland for the next few days. Then I was like, minus something all the way to the south. Like I say, I was just like, flaming heck. Yeah, nuts. Yeah, sod that. Sod that. Too cold. Need to bring need spring to come, like yesterday. So, I did mean to say ages ago that if anybody wanted to come up on panel and have a chat rather than being down in chat, then you can always ask. So, but yeah, what was it? Yeah, yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, because pretty much I've always worked minimum wage. There's been a couple of times when I've worked just above minimum wage, like when I've worked in banks a couple of times. And apart from that, it was just like I don't want to get a credit card. And it is possible to live in the UK quite easily without a credit card. I understand that in the States it can be pretty much impossible. But it's like, why would I want to pay 16% on top of what I already pay when everybody else, including me, is complaining about how much things cost? It doesn't make any sense to me. My parents used to say, again, I'm being asked to believe that paying 16% on top of whatever I'm already paying is a good thing. I'm just like, no, that doesn't make sense. I could take that 16% and buy another beer. So, um, yeah, my parents used to say to me, like, if you want something badly enough, you'll save for it. And if you can't save for it, you don't want it badly enough. And that would bar emergencies. That's pretty much my approach to things. And other than just recently, that stood me in very good stead. It was just that my private rent before this government council housing like over doubled in 18 months. So I was very screwed, and the council took a long time to get me this place. So I ran up £2,000 worth of debt, which for me is not good. Mm, mm. Yeah, that's what I mean, Bird. Like, I understand that in the States it's a lot harder to do things without a credit card. I got told 20 years ago, 25 years ago, that I couldn't rent somewhere because I didn't have a credit card. And I'm like, I live within my means. And you're telling me because I haven't got any debt, I can't rent a flat. And she was like, well, I'm sorry that you feel like that. And I'm like, well, I don't feel like that. That's what you just told me. How fucking stupid. Yeah, 2000 is huge, especially when I'm on welfare now. So as good as I am at budgeting, it's a struggle. It's a definite struggle. And then, like, I was here for a couple of months, and the council said, "Oh, by the way, we overpaid you rent, and we're gonna what do you guys call it? We're gonna garnish your welfare at rate of 50, £60 a month." And I'm like, "That's a significant percentage of my um, money." Like, shit, yeah. So yeah, I'm doing it. Slave, you have no debt, unscannable. Well, as far as I know, I'm not chipped, Bird, so I don't think I am scannable. Um, I'm not a slave in the sense of I'm not working, although I'm still a slave to the system, I guess. There's another thing. I'm not working, so I'm a useless eater, right? But as none of us are no longer citizens, and we're all but private consumers, and we're all our own economic, sane, rational actors and islands, as that is now the case, I'm now being asked to believe that even though by virtue of being alive, I am consuming, even though I'm trying not to make consumption a virtue in itself, that I am literally cut down on everything as much as possible because I hate being in debt and I want to pay my dad back as soon as possible. But I'm being asked to believe I'm a useless eater. But with the little bit of electric and gas I do use, the food that I do eat, when I get the bus, when I go to the charity shop to buy clothes, I somebody is making money off of that consumption, and that's generating profit. So if I'm generating profit and profit generation is the only moral good in the universe, then how am I a useless eater? So yeah, again, I don't understand quite how I'm supposed to believe that. And the thing as well, very rich people, like all the money that I get, bar X amount that I'm saving to pay my dad back, who again isn't rich, so he will use that money to spend and buy things with. we're both spending the money we've got because we don't have much. If you're a billionaire, most of that money you're not spending. It's not active in the economy. It's not making profit, and a lot of it is being offshored in tax havens anyway. Which, so if anybody's a useless eater, those bastards are, because so much a larger proportion of their money that they've got, their moral good that they've got, they're not making a moral good according to their way of thinking, because it's not generating profit. It's avoiding being taxed in Bermuda or wherever the hell it is. So, oh yeah, yeah. Well, that's the thing. That's why I avoided getting a mobile phone for ages, is because I've always tried to stay off the grid as much as possible, which again is increasingly difficult. But yeah, that's one reason why I didn't get a mobile phone. It's also because like I had concerns about the tech, and some of those have been borne out by reality. It's a bit of an odd thing for me because as much as I'm fascinated by science and technology and nature and sci-fi and things like that, I'm not an early adopter because I've taken heed of the warnings in science fiction and by people that think about such things and the way that I've thought about things over the years. And yeah, like I got a mobile phone, but then it was a while after that that I got the internet. And people I knew were like, "Limey, why aren't you on the internet?" It's like, this is you'd be really you are interested. You ask us about it and all this, and it's like I can't keep up with 4 TV stations, 2 radio stations, and books and music, and I haven't even got money to buy loads of music, but I've got the radio. So how am I going to keep up with all of the information that, even if it's not on the internet now, it will be? And yeah, there's just no way. I want to be like the vampires in Vampire Chronicles by Anne Rice, or the robot Johnny Five in Short Circuit, where it's like you can just read a book or listen to music at a million miles an hour and actually take it in, as opposed to it just being and absorb it, rather than it just being a didactic photographic memory recall. That would be amazing. Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't know. I think some people could probably argue that you can live on your own off the grid, but being with other people would be better, I think, for all sorts of reasons. Although, again, some people want to be off grid because they don't want to be around other people. So I read a story about, I think it was a Russian bloke who took him and his wife and a couple of kids off somewhere in the middle of nowhere. And there are people that have kind of like gone off, wandered off, and lived on their own in the middle of nowhere for decades. And I remember, right, this family, like they all died out in the middle of nowhere, refusing medical assistance. And I think the last surviving daughter did come back to go to hospital a couple of times, I think. So yeah, there are people that do it, but they're often seen as crazy, which yeah, I'm being asked to believe that people are crazy that don't want to exist in the crazy world. Yeah. I suppose. I mean, I guess, but in a sense, like it would be very hard for one person to make a spade from scratch, or shovel from scratch, and then use that to. So yeah, in that sense, I guess. I mean, I've had similar thoughts. It's kind of like living off grid. How possible is that? Even if you manage to live without money, are you still going to be interacting at some point with civilization where money still is there? So yeah, I understand what you're saying, because arguably, I mean, if you're going to kind of take it to an extended, exaggerated point, you could say, well, everybody who lives within society has already failed because from the moment they're born, they went off the grid. But yeah, I don't know. I do kind of get what you mean. I don't know if you've ever seen. Yeah. Yeah, I like because that's the thing. It kind of appeals to me living on my own in the middle of in the sticks, off grid. I love nature. I'm quite happy with my own company a lot of the time. I think though that lockdown proved to me that I'm not quite as happy with my own time for extended periods as I thought, because there was it did get to be a bit much after a while because I didn't have internet friends as such at that time, and I wasn't working. I was at home on my own in lockdown in the end, and it was like, oh, this is after a while, it's pretty grim. Yeah, there was a saying I heard. I can't remember what the person's name is, but the saying was something like, "It can't be called well adjusted, or it can't be called healthy or sane to be well adjusted to a sick society," something like that. And that's something I'm running up against at the moment. Is like, well, Limey, we can understand why you might get annoyed, but you're not dealing with that annoyance very well, and you're losing your temper. And it's like, yeah, I am losing my temper, but at this point, it's like, who wouldn't be losing their temper? It's unreasonable for me to lose my temper, but isn't this unreasonable? And it's like, well, yeah, they were being unreasonable, but it's kind of like, well, you got to rise above it. It's like, yeah, okay, and I have for a long time. Believe me. Now I've decided that I've had enough of rising above it. The Lord Manners. Yeah. That's the thing, because there's a couple of people I know that moved abroad, and there's one friend of mine moved literally to the middle of a desert. There was it literally in the middle of the desert, and I went to visit them, and I'm like, I'm not a fan of hot weather, but this was because it was a desert, it was dry, and it's even though it was really hot, it wasn't the same as like humidity, which I'm pretty sure you can identify with Bird having been in the UK and living in the swamp now. A wet heat is different to a dry heat. And I was like, oh, maybe you could just like build me a shed at the bottom of your garden and I'll, live here and look after the house and after your dogs while you're at work and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, just disappear altogether. Used to get better mobile phone reception there than I did the wrong side of town in my own town when I was out there. It was nuts. Where the hell is the phone mast out here? It's crazy. And there was a guy living next, like it was like two small houses next to each other with a dividing wall in the middle of nowhere, and the neighbor was this Arab guy, and because I've got long hair, he would just stupidest thing. He would start singing Bob Marley whenever I like come out into I call it a garden, out into the sand. I'm like, why are you calling me that? It's just, and my friend would be like, Lime, it's just because you've got long hair. And then other people I saw at the shops and would go, oh, you over here to film a music video? Are you like some kind of rock star in a rock band? I'm like, no. Please don't talk to me. I'm shy. Yeah, hot or cold temperatures. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, because I find that with asthma, wet air, whether it's hot or cold, makes my asthma play up something really bad. So yeah. Oh yeah, and then one thing that my friend's neighbor asked me and us to believe, which was again, I need an electric monk, is that he was running a salmon farm there in the middle of the desert. It's like, oh, how come you're living out here? Oh, I've got a salmon farm. Where? Silly man. Yeah. So yeah. Right. Well, I think unless salmon, yeah, quite exactly. Right. Well, I think that I'm coming to the end of this. I think I don't think I'm gonna have like regular lives or whatever, but I think I might just like pop up every now and again, which I know is really bad for the algorithm, but the algorithm can kiss the darkest part of my lily white arse. Because it all depends what you as I've said to people recently, it all depends what you use as your yardstick as to whether or not you're being successful. And if you're not particularly concerned about numbers, then the algorithm can do one. 11 semicolon 30. I don't know what that means. Is it 11:30? Oh, it's 11:30 here. Yeah, 11:30 at night here. Yeah, Okay. I think I'm back. As in, I don't think I've got my mic muted anymore. So I don't know if Justine and Bird are still out there. Blink once for yes, twice for no. Um, let's just have a look at my cat's bowl. Okay. Right, she's got some food. There's Justine. So, how you doing, Justine? Have you how's your day, evening, afternoon going? Are you freezing? Is there snow? Ice? Hmm. Well, I'm all right, Justine. Thank you for asking. Um, I've just been waffling and chatting with Bird, as you can probably see. Um, snowed another 5 inches. Flipping heck. Yeah, it snowed here a couple of months ago, but it was like 1 inch, if that. I didn't think it was even that. But yeah, so I hope you guys are going to be all right up there, and that your heating doesn't conk out or anything like that. Mm. Well, this is the thing, Justin. I was thinking about going live yesterday, and then I thought, oh no, I need to do this, I need to do that, and then and then and then today I was going to do it, but I had an appointment, and then my news was on at 6 o'clock. So yeah, I did think being that far north, you're probably more used to it. I had to approve your comment then. Yeah, we've had a total of like 10 inches. I had to approve that. I'm an adult, you know. Um, that's what she said. So yeah, um, so yeah, I'm fine. Just ticking along as ever. Um, yeah, and like I say, my thing was, I believe we're all in need of an electric monk. Is as I'm sure you know, a line from one of my poems and a reference to Douglas Adams. That's and yeah, because I just feel, and I feel like a lot of people can empathize with the feeling that we're all asked increasingly to believe things that we just think are unbelievable. So, yeah, whether that's that 8 people in the entire planet are worth or carry out the same amount of work. 8 people, the 8 richest people in the entire planet, carry out the same amount of work as the world's poorest 4 billion people, which I just think one person doing the equivalent amount of work of 500 million people doesn't compute to me. But that's one of the things we're asked to believe. Um, and obviously, it's quite hard to ascertain if it's 8 people or not. The numbers vary, but the fact that um, somebody's even a serious organization has said that we think it's 8 people is it gives you an idea that it's not very many people, and then we're asked to yeah, exactly. That's what a lot of myself and others would call it, gaslighting. But as I was saying to Bird, and I think somebody else that was here earlier who I don't recognise, um, that's what we're asked to. Is it audio Gutenberg? So yeah, I feel like that's what we're asked to believe. But the amount of people that seem to defend that point of view and angrily defend it. I've got people like me who are on welfare, living in government housing, who will angrily defend billionaires and their wealth, and then there are people obviously up to millionaires and multimillionaires and billionaires, like everybody from every strata of socioeconomic ladder will protect billionaires, and it blows my mind. And again, I find it hard to believe, but yeah, there we are. And I think, let's say there's a phrase, temporarily embarrassed millionaire. And I think now it's temporarily embarrassed billionaire. And it's like, it's just not, it's not, there are some things that are a possibility, but they're so unlikely that they're not really worth considering. So, yeah, yeah, absolutely. And yeah, because my understanding is that the American dream or part of it, and the same thing that we're told in the UK, is as long as you work hard, because we live in a meritocracy, so ocracy meaning the way that the government or system is organized that we live in, and the prefix to that bit meaning they're the group of people that rule, or the idea that rules. So meritocracy, we are ruled, operating a system where people are rewarded based on merit. And so I'm supposed to believe that the most meritorious person, the hardest working, and meritorious now means not only merit as in good at your job, but merit as in moral worth. So I'm supposed to believe that the richest person in the world is A, the hardest working, and B, the 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 most moral person in the world. Because if they weren't, they wouldn't be the richest person in the world. And I'm like, A, that sounds like a religion, which I don't believe in religions. And B, that sounds ridiculous. I need an electric monk. Where's my electric monk for this shit? Yeah, exactly. It's just we don't live in a meritocracy at all. And that's what we're told that we do. And so it's like if you don't succeed, it's your fault. It's because you don't work hard enough and it's because you're a bad person. And that's isn't that the prosperity gospel preached by such people as Kenneth Copeland? You know, it's like I God told me that because I'm His messenger and I'm such a good boy that that morally I'm worth so much that I deserve to have a fifth private jet, and that if you're in my congregation, no matter how poor or well off you are, you need to give me more of your money because it's like no, what? Yeah, the prosperity, but the thing is, like, that's what I mean by the meritocracy stuff. To me, sounds like a religion, and it sounds adjacent to prosperity gospel. And yet, these people will say this fiction, this theology that we're preaching to you, that we're saying that you need to follow, otherwise you're morally damned for eternity, and you should be damned into poverty and early death and suffering on the temporal plane on earth now. And this it sounds like a religion, but these people say, well, no, Limey, what we're doing is we're being realistic. You're being an idealist. We're looking at the cold hard truth, the objective facts. This is reality. You need to exist in the real world. And I'm like, well, it sounds like what Kenneth Copeland says, and there's not many people that think that he operates in the real world. So yeah, I know, right? Exactly. Yes, just and the thing is, at the same time, I do have an empathy with the idea of like sharing, and if you've got the capacity to give, or if you've got any resources to help somebody in need, that you should do that. But that isn't what Kenneth Copeland's doing. If what need is he satisfying that he has by having a fifth private jet? I suppose he could say, "Oh, well, the need is I'm fulfilling God's word because He says I should be rich." It's like, what? Yeah, yeah. The thing is, Justine, there are people that fall for it, and so to my mind, I should try and empathize with those people. It's like they're the ones being scammed at the end of the day. They're not the scammers, right? But then there are people who know that it's just nonsense and help him either because they get rich or because they're hoping because they're a temporarily embarrassed millionaire themselves. So yeah, it's just yeah. Mm. And talking of circular logic, there's mm, yeah, yeah. Well, this is it, and yeah, because again, I think there are strands in Christianity, organized religion, aside from Christianity, and secular thought as well that are similar in philosophy. There can be um, attendant strands, and to my mind, it's like it doesn't really matter the paradigm, the infrastructure, the boundaries by which you're thinking about things, it's kind of like that's window dress, and it's like, what can it be boiled down to? What's the crux of it? So, and to me, so like art, science, and religion, I think they have commonalities, and it's those commonalities and those crossovers maybe where you can find more truths than just trying to use one lens or one paradigm to look at things, try and ascertain the truths of things, or some better perception of reality or whatever. So I've liked the yin yang symbol for many years, and the idea of having two opposite but complementary forces in flux, and that one contains the other. So the white half has a black dot and the black half has a white dot. And after having liked the symbol for years, I would then start thinking about it in the sense of being dynamic, and the edge between the two halves in the middle and around the dots for the eyes, if you like, they are always shifting as well, because it's a dynamic system, always balancing and rebalancing in order to achieve equilibrium. So the static 2D image is actually an averaging out of the defining good and bad aspects of any one thing. So the 2D image, like animated, and then made as a 3D sphere rather than a 2D object, and then thinking rather than in two halves, of thinking in threes. And so my thing would be like, one of the three fish is art, the other is science, and the other is religion. And if you think about collapsing the three-dimensional sphere, dynamic sphere, into two dimensions again, you could kind of reorganize it as a Venn diagram, with art, science, and religion being circles, and where all three intersect in the middle might give you, as I say, like a closer perception of some kind of reality or truths. So that would be my kind of thing. Yeah, because I used to say there's two sides to every story, and then I would say there's three sides to every story. At least there's black, white, and grey, because I get incredibly frustrated with binary thinking and binary anything. And then it was kind of like, well, that's because it's kind of like trying to like think about how to have an overarching way of operating or thinking about things that is not so ambiguous and vague as to be meaningless, but not so well defined as to be too rigid and not able to incorporate or have other ideas or other perspectives brought in. So the art, science, and religion thing, it's like, well, you could have politics, you could have history, but in some ways, politics would come into religion and science, and politics would come into all three, and each one on its own, and two out of the three. So yeah, it's just like my best way of sort of boiling it down would be art, science, and religion. But rather than religion, it would maybe be more spirituality, because religion suggests organized religion, and there are some people who have developed their own spirituality as individuals. And in some sense, you could argue that there are as many types of Christianity as there are Christians, because everybody has a a different understanding of the Bible and different relationship with God, if you believe that that's a thing in your perception of Christianity. So, mm, mm, hmm yeah, it comes back to some of the things we talked about in your panel, Justine, in that recognized science has said for a long time there's more than the four dimensions that we experience. So, yeah, so it's like because I think like the fact that we have bilateral symmetry, or generally speaking, we have bilateral symmetry. So we've like, split us down the middle, and we're basically, one arm and one eye and everything on either side. And I think that's maybe one of the reasons why we tend to think of things in binary. And also because you're either dead or not, that's kind of binary. And again, back to that evolutionary animal thing of like, it's advantageous maybe, rather than thinking about 1,000 different possibilities with each increasingly unlikely, it's maybe just important, very important in that particular moment, to think very seriously about whether the lion running at you at 100 miles an hour is going to likely to eat you or not. and it's probably best to err on the side of caution. So it becomes a very binary thing of, am I going to run away or am I going to try and fight this lion? Or maybe again the black, white, and grey thing of it's like they now say it's either fright, flight, or fight, isn't it? So it's either freezing, running away, or fighting. So 3 options. So again, that black, white, and grey rather than just 2. So yeah, I think I think the 4th dimension is really difficult. Like trying to understand that space time is actually one continuum rather than different. And that's the thing, like, because it's 3 dimensions for space, and then the 4th is time. And I mean, I had a teacher ask me when I was like, it was in a school class, and it was a teacher that also liked science fiction and was fascinated with computers. And he once tried to get us all to think about how to describe time, like in a kind of like boil it down to what it is. So I thought, okay, well, how can you just, or he may have even said, how do you describe distance? So we did that. He's like, yeah, that's fair enough. But he didn't accept any of our descriptions of time, just trying to make the point that it's actually really hard to define what it is. So, yeah, well, quantum physics is, yeah, definitely a whole thing on its own. You learned that fainting when seeing blood is also an evolutionary thing. Yeah. I wonder why that is. Is that because it's like, oh, there's blood, so my colleague has just been injured or possibly dead. So in order to get myself out of harm's way, I need to lay on the ground out of sight. Is that kind of what that is? Yeah, what is Thomas Smith? Yeah. Yeah, it's very, very nebulous. Oh, faints. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. That makes sense. That does make sense. I was thinking about that as well, you see, because like we're asked to believe that ostriches stick their heads in the sand, but apparently they don't. It's more that they put their heads to the ground in order to make themselves less tall and then less easy to spot. Um, so yeah, apparently that's a thing. I'm guessing because now I'm wondering, do they put their heads to the ground when they're stood up or when they're laying down? Because it would make more sense to lay down and then put your head to the ground, right? Because if you stood up and put your head to the ground like they're always shown in cartoons, then that's still half their height visible. So yeah, but it's a terrible, you know. 'Cause my thought when I was younger is like, oh, that's why they don't have feathers on the head and the neck so much. Then is because it's pointless because they just get scraped off when they're sticking their heads in the sand. Yeah, yeah, I wouldn't argue with an ostrich either. They're big and they may not be able to fly, but they've still got some muscles in their wings, I would imagine. And if they decide to kick you, I mean, I've seen some of those kangaroos that like sit back on their tail and then box you. Yeah, exactly, kangaroos, see? And some of those kangaroos are hench, like, they are built. It's like they've got roid roo rage. That roo is roided out. Look at the rage on that. I mean, geez, yeah. Yeah, exactly, yeah. Australia is a continent full of things that want to kill you, absolutely. And that's the thing, like, I'd love to go to Australia, but I'd be constantly like, oh God, I need to go to the loo. I can't sit down because a black funnel web spider is going to get me. Or I need to go outside, but what happens if a cassowary comes along and takes my kneecaps out and I fall to the ground like an ostrich? I mean, there's just so many things that could, like, yeah, sharks, there's all sorts, just things want to kill you. And I'm pretty sure plants, like, you could be in the desert and you think, I'm so thirsty, I'm lost. My horse with no name has run off. I don't know what I'm going to do. Sun's beating down. The corks aren't keeping the flies off anymore. I've run out of Vegemite sandwiches. There's a cactus. They've got milk in. I'll drink that. And then you drink that and then find out, oh, it's a really strong alkali. I've just stripped my esophagus out. I'm going to die now from alkali poisoning. Great. And also, I've got prickles in my throat. Awesome. It's just, yeah, it's just terrible. If the roos don't get you, the cacti will. Uh, oh. I do not like the sound of that. Your Uncle Jim told you about a worm. It wasn't Earthworm Jim, your uncle. But that, yeah, I don't want to know the details for that. don't swim naked in Australia with what? No, I don't. Nope, nope. What do you mean jumping cactus? What the what? What do you mean jumping cactus? I know about tumbleweeds. They move. Jumping Cactus was a creator at Detroit's. No, I know. I'm being silly. I know. You make your uncle Jim, the earthworm. What is jumping cactus? What? Tell me about the jump. They get you get too close. They oh uh, oh jeez. So there's a cactus that kind of like throws some shinobi at you. That's crazy, huh? Because then obviously there are like Venus flytraps can move really quick. But shoot, oh no, I don't like the sound of that. That's like, I mean, that's not even Australia. Ah, blimey, there's places in the states that you don't want to go. Clearly, because you've got some nasties out there like alligators or muncher. I think in Florida when it floods, you find alligators swimming around in the waterways. It's like flipping heck. Yeah, I had a mate who became somewhat obsessed with growing pitcher plants. You know, the big jug things that the flies sit on the lip and then fall in and go and drown. Yeah, they're really cool. I tried to grow Venus flytraps, but they didn't fare very well. I don't know why. Cylindro puntia, Cylindro puntia or Cylindro puntia fulgida, fulgida. Oh, that's the cactus. Oh, okay, thank you. I'm gonna cylindrical shape then, I guess. I'm trying to copy that and then Google it so I can look that up about the cacti. Ooh. Yeah, the jumping chola. Hanging chain chola. Mm. Yeah, at some point I need to learn how to do things on streaming, like show other tabs and all the rest of it. I can roughly do it, but I have to think about it. I need to get more fluid at it. Um, but yeah, like I say to bed, Justine, I've been wanting to pop up the last couple of days. I was going to go live earlier and kept moving the time because like I saw that Jade was live and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't want cacti throwing shit at me. No. Mm-mm. Yeah, and I had like an idea of what I wanted to talk about, and I've had a bit of a chat about it. And like I say, if I go live and people want to join me, then they're more than welcome. Obviously, depending on who it is, because there are a few people that I'd be like, no, 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 no. No, I know this is the thing, Justine, because everyone's going live at all different times. And I know it's kind of like just go live or whatever, but again, it's like just don't want to tread on people's toes. I don't expect many people to be here in the first place. So yeah. Oh yeah, no worries, Justine. No worries. So um yeah, because I'd quite like to have different people up and just chat because I'm not on my channel because obviously like rules are rules, and I try and even when I'm in chat, I try and oh, excuse me, I try and match how I chat and what I'm saying depending on where I am. So with Valerie's, I try very hard to be on my best behavior, whereas with Pole in Pole's chat, I'm more like, I'm just gonna let loose now. And then with Ali's, you know, Ali and Wes's, I pretty much say exactly what I want there. So it depend. Yeah, read the room, respect. You know, there's going to be things that they want on their channel, and by extension, I think there's things that they are going to be okay with in their chat, and things absolutely wouldn't be okay with in their chat. So at the times when people mention political stuff, for example, or things that could be political, I often just try to say nothing, as I'm sure a lot of people do. But on my channel, It'll be politics if you want to talk about um, aliens or anything at all, or you've seen one of my posts or something I've said somewhere else, or one of my poems, you want to ask me about it or scream at me, because there are people in my comments already where I've upset them under political videos, and then they've come to my channel and either taken the piss or asked me questions. So um, obviously, you know, either is fine. It's all interaction at the end of the day, but you know, um, yeah. And the thing is that if I have a conversation with somebody and I know it's going to be a contentious one that I feel strongly about, to be completely upfront, it's quite possible that I would lose my temper because it's happened already. I've been on Independent Many United's panel a few times a year or so ago, and I lost my temper quite badly on the last one. So yeah, there are times that may well happen, but my intention would be always to just have a conversation about things. So yeah, but I would always tell people that anyway because I want to try and be yeah, I just want to try and be honest about things, you know. Like the couple of poems that I've posted at the moment, for example, some people could read those and go, "Oh, well, Limey's trying to say he's this, that, and the other, and he's perfect, or whatever, whatever." And it's like, yeah, you could read it like that, or you could read it that this is something that I try and aspire to myself. Doesn't mean I've always been successful, but I'm at least aiming to go in that direction and achieve it sometimes. Whereas some other people, it's their whole personality is to argue and scream and shout. My kind of thing about it is I'm perfectly capable of pissing people off without trying. I don't really want to put any effort into actually trying to do it because it might happen anyway. Things like wasted effort. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that community sounds similarly wild when you get into it, Justine, from what you said. Yeah, absolutely. The I suspect that there might even be some overlap in places. Yeah. Well, yeah, but Justine, I'm perfectly capable of doing it in real life too. Don't worry. Absolutely don't worry. I mean, my voice alone is enough to wind some people up because they hear me and automatically assume that I'm middle class for one, which is annoying for some people, and I can understand why to some extent, and that I'm arrogant and um, you know, I'm trying to appear better than other people, whatever, whatever. So yeah, it's just at the end of the day, you can't be everybody's cup of tea, and you know, that's that. But yeah, so yeah, yeah, I've seen a couple of people from the music community um, around Independent Many United's channel. There may even be people I know that have just been lurkers there or whatever. Um, I was really kind of excited when I first came across the channel because I thought, oh, this could be interesting discussion or the rest of it. But it kind of seemed to be another one of those, either as individuals or as panels or whatever. They'll try and say we're enlightened centrists, or we're not left or right, or we're not conservative or progressive, or we're not this, we're not that. We're just interested in open discussion. And so often it quickly becomes obvious that that is not the case at all. So, yeah, that's the other thing, Justine, is because I was saying to Bird, I've seen a couple of people recently. I keep saying I'm going to go and then just keep waffling. I've seen a couple of people recently, and it's not a criticism at all, but they're saying everybody's got an opinion, and they seem to be saying like they're kind of sick of hearing people's opinions or whatever, right? And I'm taking the approach of Mr. Smith, which is I'm going to start saying my opinion more. Now, the thing is, the whole reason that Limey Redneck exists is so that I can say my opinion more, especially when it comes to politics. I don't have to worry about future employment issues. I don't have to worry about pissing my friends and family off because I'm talking about online as well as offline, etc., etc. And then I found because I'm trying to like get to know people and make friendships and all the, oh, hi Casper. Good to see you. I'm finding that I'm already doing that thing, even though I'm not all about the numbers and everything. I'm already doing that thing of holding back and not saying things and biting my tongue in order to reduce friction and to get to know people. And yeah, and I'm just like, it's like I say, I don't want to start causing trouble in people's chats, but at the same time, I do want to try Um, say more, be more outspoken with what I think about things, because that's half the point of Lime existing. So yeah, yeah, it's really good to see you, Casper. I see you're around the internets, and yeah, I'm so sorry that I never did look at the band Kneecap when you recommended them all that while ago, and then they started getting in the news and stuff, and I'm like, hang on a minute, I've got a note in my calendar from Casper about them, I'm sure, and I looked, and it was like, oh yeah, I do. I've just got a huge long list of read this, listen to this band, do this, do that, and it's like, yeah, and then you have to like eat and sleep and things like that as well. It's annoying. Yeah, yeah, exactly, Justine. Because again, like I can one thing I hear quite a lot in the music community, or the vibe I get, um, when because there are some people that I think are left and are right, and there's some people I think that aren't really either, or whatever, all different takes, right? And I understand that people are frustrated with left and right because it seems divisive and blah blah blah. I get that, but the thing is, like, there's such general terms and they encompass so much. And a lot of people are left on some things and right on others. A lot of people aren't one or the other anyway. Again, it's that binary thing. Some people are very socially progressive, but quite conservative or Republican when it comes to, or right wing when it comes to economics, for example. So, yeah. Oh, right, they've got a new single out on Wednesday. Cool. I mean, I am sub to them, and I seem to get their notifications quite well. So, yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing, because like I say, oh, I'm a lefty, and there'll be a lot of people who just straight away roll their eyes and go, ugh. But you know, same thing happens if you say you're a righty or if you're centrist or whatever. It's like, but what does that actually mean? What do you mean by that? Um, and again, like people like they don't want to talk about it. I'd rather be an ostrich or this, and it's like that's fine. Obviously you're entitled to that. I don't have a problem with that. But if we all do that, and the people with the megaphones just keep talking their stuff, then we've got we've got even less say and even less influence on what happens to us than we currently do. So yeah, yeah, I did think that, Justine. Yeah, I got that because I remember you talking about libertarian before, which, to be fair, I don't know a great deal about. Um, but yeah, absolutely, I could see that you were socially liberal or progressive or whatever. Um, Yeah, well, this the polarization, isn't it? And arguably, again, the internet and social media, especially, has helped to polarize people, and to yeah, because I mean, I can kind of see that myself. Like the internet has had an influence in making me further right on things, but in a lot of ways, the internet's just helped me provided a vocabulary for a lot of things that I've thought for a long time anyway. So, but I suppose it's different for everyone. I've heard about abolishing income tax. That's because if I remember rightly, the part of the argument with that in general terms is we can abolish income tax because we used to be funded through tariffs. But that was a long time ago, and the world was a different place. Like the financial, social, economic structure of everything was completely different at that time. So it might have worked then, but I don't know. Oh, that's the libertarian thing: abolish income tax and legalize drugs. Okay, get rid of. Yeah, Law and Order, they need to yeah. Ah, okay. Well, taxing the crap out of corporations I can get behind. Um, oh, so rather than abolishing income tax and going to tariffs, the libertarian, which is kind of like part of MAGA's thing, the libertarian thing is abolish income tax and get taxation from private companies. Irish government, still more left than yeah, the Irish, yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, that's it, because I was saying to Justine earlier that, and Bird earlier, that the Labour originally were very left wing, and then Thatcher called Blair her greatest achievement, and now Labour and Tories are fighting to be more right wing than Reform. So, um, yeah, absolutely, yes, yeah. That's something that I thought about. a failed TV reality star with Donald Trump is it really surprised me when my dad told me that Ronald Reagan used to be an actor because he obviously knew Ronald Reagan when he was a kid, having seen him in films growing up there. And I was like, "What? You used to be an actor? That's something." And it's like now America doesn't even have an actual celebrity as their leader. They have a failed celebrity as their leader, not even on TV. It's like on the internet. Yeah, it's just. Yeah. And apparently, that's where he actually made his money is from that show, The Apprentice, because obviously, as we know, he had 3 casinos and managed to bankrupt all of them, which is an achievement in itself. I mean, it shows that he understands the art of the deal, doesn't it? Who the hell manages to bankrupt a casino not once but 3 times? Oh, and then I found out in the last 2 weeks that apparently one of those casinos he bankrupt 3 times in itself. So it's actually like 5 bankrupt casinos or something. It's like, Jesus, really? Yeah. And the thing is, Justine, there are so many people that are saying, I don't want to vote left or right or Democratic or Republican again, both all parts of the political spectrum in the US. And I was saying yesterday and been saying for a couple of months now, the thing about the UK is we've got 2 insurgent parties, one on the right and one on the left. So our 2-party structure is starting to break down and these parties are becoming viable. But I don't see that in the US. And whilst the US does have people like Mamdani in the on the left being mayor and things like that, I don't see the Democratic Party as a whole shifting in any way left much at all. So unfortunately, and I don't know that I don't know that Republicans are going to be able to get their party back from MAGA and or America First if America First starts to get the ascendancy because Fuentes apparently is making inroads there now. He's been bubbling under the surface online for like a decade or something at this point. And you've also got Marjorie Taylor Greene with some liberals going, "Oh, it's great, isn't it? She's turning over a new leaf," and it's like, no, she knows she's fucked unless she thinks about a political future. So she's going to America First because she's aware that some of the MAGA lot are like, MAGA is shit, we need somebody more extreme. And that's where they're going. So, yeah. Yeah, Marjorie Taylor Greene's just, I mean, you've got a few, but then so do we. I mean, we've just had Suella Braverman or Cruella Braverman go to Reform. And Reform are trying to be like MAGA. We're anti-establishment, blah, blah. And Nigel Farage is a city trader, millionaire, who wears a flat cap, likes drinking a pint down the pub apparently, and that makes him one of the working class people just like us. It's just, and he's part of the, it's so many, all the things. It's just fucking ridiculous. Yeah, just yeah, how these people that are nothing but the establishment manage to convince enough people, not the majority, but enough people that they're anti-establishment that they then get any kind of power is incredible. Because Nigel Farage may now be an MP and the head of the Reform Party, but he's arguably the most successful politician without ever having been an MP in this country, like since before Brexit, because he brought Brexit into the discussion and then and pushed like the Tories further right through populist pressure, and now Labour, who are even in government, are now doing it as well. So, oh, okay, Justine, I'll see you later. Have fun at the polls with Frank and the rest. Yeah, that's the thing, Casper, is because that's my understanding is Reform Limited or Reformed Tories Limited, as I like to call them, because how many Tories are there now in Reform? Like 10 or something at this point. I mean, it's just mind blowing. Yeah, it's like they keep saying, "Oh, we're going to have the NHS free to use at the point of service," which is fine. That's half of the basic main um, premise of the NHS. But the other thing is, how is that free funded? Because there's no such thing as a free lunch. So where's the money coming from? So, and yeah, having private insurance fund that rather than how we currently have it funded through national insurance subscription is not the way to go. Because arguably, one of the main reasons that the American healthcare system costs so much is because they're paying insurance companies to do nothing apart from make a load of money for themselves and never pay out when people need it. Which is why when the CEO of that healthcare company got killed in the street, people on the left and the right were kind of celebrating it online because everybody knows what a rip-off it is. So yeah, well, quite. This is it because Nigel Farage, like I heard somebody say that they always had these competing parts in the Tory party of being pro-Europe and anti-Europe, Eurosceptic. And rather than having it continuing as an internal party battle, David Cameron decided to put it out to the country's referendum, thinking that that would shame, the side of the argument he wasn't on, and that everybody would vote Remain, and then couldn't believe it when we voted Leave, and just a complete shit show. Because I felt like it was almost like when we had I think we had a referendum about whether or not we were going to stick with first past the post or go to some kind of proportional representation, alternative vote, something like that. And I felt that both sides did such a shit job of presenting the actual pros and cons of each of those systems that it was not surprising that people just voted to carry on as we were because they didn't understand what the arguments were. Yeah, and with Brexit, it's like, oh well, you can vote to leave, but what does leave mean? We're not gonna worry about details. Let's just leave. So yeah, but yeah, sovereignty, and now we're even more beholden to the state of America as a result of Brexit. So the thing is, I don't yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've heard that, and I just the whole thing with Ireland just drives me insane. Anyway, just drives me nuts. But yeah, it's kind of odd, isn't it? Because there are some local elections and things. I think mayor elections or something here, like in England, run on PR, and then everything else first past the post. But first past, I saw like some video years ago that was basically saying like first past the post tends towards two political parties. And because then people feel they've got no choice, what ends up happening is that the two parties end up as being indistinguishable from each other, and you end up with having no choice at all. And it makes sense to me, and it seems to be borne out in fact. And it is, to me, it does seem ridiculous that like less than 30% of the country can vote in a direction, and you end up with most of the time a conservative government in this country, when most of the country most of the time votes left of that. But we end up with a right-wing government most of the time because of first past the post. And as crazy as like the gerrymandering is in the US, we have similar things going on with boundary lines and things like that here as well, increasingly so, and other shenanigans like candidates being parachuted in that don't, you know, don't even know where the county is that they're supposed, or constituency is that they're representing on a map, and are parachuted in and supposed to, again, believe that they understand the local issues. Yeah, see, coalitions are. I didn't used to like the idea of coalitions because of compromise seemed like a bad word in some ways, and it does seem like a bad word now in different ways. To be honest, that's really clear, isn't it? But like, yeah, it just seemed like it'll just all be watered down, and it almost sounds like that third way central thing again. But I don't. I think I don't really see any other way Yeah, I don't see any other way around it. Like, it has to be proportional representation. It's just ridiculous, as I say, to have like a minority of people consistently vote the opposite to the majority of the rest of the country that even do vote. Never mind the ones that don't. And yeah, like I say, most of the country voting vaguely left, and then we end up with a right wing party for the last 150 years, or whatever it's been. So yeah, just ridiculous. So yeah, right. I keep saying that I'm going to go, but I am probably going to go. Uh, oh yeah, the Green Party is popular where I am. I don't actually know, Casper, whether they are where in the town city where I live. Um, I know that we've had a good increase in membership, like they have in other parts of the country. And I was for the first time in my life, I have joined a political party, which is a Green Party. I joined. I think I um, became a paying sub to No Justice, Helena, which I've never done before because of money on YouTube. And then I joined Greens Organise, and then the Green Party, which I've never joined a party before in my life. But yeah, we've had a good increase in membership in the area. And I signed up for some of the online hustings and things like that at the national level for the leadership contest. And they were interesting, and some of the local ones as well. So I do want to get out there for the run up to the May local elections and start knocking on doors and stuff. Um, I know a couple of my friends were like thinking of going green because they're kind of like me, care about nature anyway, and they're kind of liberal, if you like. So they were going to go for Greens. I don't know if they're going to go for Greens now that with Zach Polanski being leader and some of the things that he's saying more vocally. Because like leaving NATO, for example, might be an issue for them. I'm not sure. Um, yeah, Zach Polanski won 85% of the vote in order to become leader. And once I was signed up and going to the Hustings and things, I did think, yeah, trying to remember that what I see online is not representative of actual reality. I was still thinking, yeah, this looks promising. And yeah, like I say, he got 85% of the vote. And I think the party had 50 or 60,000 people. And after he got elected, it rose exponentially. And I think we got level and or surpassed the Lib Dems and Labour and went up to, I think it's currently 195,000, but yeah, like doubled in something like a few weeks. It was crazy. Um, yeah. So, and that's the thing again, like the Green Party doesn't have corporate sponsorship like the left and the right do now, as in Labour and Conservatives. I'm guessing we've probably got a couple of rich individuals maybe that give money, but the rest is all like grassroots subscriptions and stuff. So, and considering what they were able to do just with the small budget that they had, that increase in membership now gives them a steady, larger income stream. And whilst I don't think it's necessarily large, it's still, well, it's over double what they had before. So, yeah, and social media, if you use it well, you can do it very, very cheaply and, get the reach out there. And Zach, I think, has certainly learned things from Mamdani's campaign in the mayoral New York election and how to cut through in that regard. So, and I just feel like I was a Labour supporter in the past and voted Labour because I don't think money is the be all and end all of everything. And then as I learned more about politics and as time went on, I could see them going further right. It's like, well, with first past the post, I don't feel like I have a choice. And then I voted Green, even though recently, even knowing that they're not necessarily going to win, but that it could send a signal of encouragement to other people to consider them as being a party. And I think that helped in the last general election. And yeah, the increase in membership helps for that. And it's nice as well that the BBC did eventually, for example, confess and say, yeah, we haven't had the Green Party on enough. Yeah, we've had reform on a lot, haven't we? Yeah. Yeah, do you know what? We used to have Nigel Farage on the telly even when he wasn't a proper actual politician in the UK. Yeah, we did all of that. Yeah, yeah, we've kind of facilitated the rise of reform. Yeah, maybe we should have the Green Party on now because there is another insurgent party, you know? Yeah, no shit. So yeah, it helps. So yeah, and I think Zach is very good at answering off the cuff, but being consistent in what he's saying, introducing new ideas, but without, uh, taking half an hour to explain them because you have to be quick. So yeah, I think he's doing really well, and I think his argument of I'm not an MP, I'm leader of the party because it means I can go up and down the country and talk to people locally, but still be on the national stage in the media and social media, and have not taken away from representing my local constituents is a really good approach. I'm also glad that we didn't end up with a dual leadership this time because as much as I might think that's okay, um, I don't. The general public doesn't like it. So in terms of optics and potentially gaining support and things like that, it just puts people off. It just when you get called weird anyway, then it doesn't help having things like a two leaders. As much as I might think is interesting, and there's nothing wrong with it, depending on like a lot of things how it's done. So yeah, and it seems very democratic. The your party thing has just seemed like a complete and utter disaster from the start. I was initially like, oh no, that's going to eat into the Green support and split the vote and things like that. And then I was like, oh, it's a shit show. But I wasn't happy about it. I was just like, oh, well, I didn't want them to do well, but I also didn't want them to implode like that. Jesus. Fuck. Yeah, I don't. And the thing is, like, there's all sorts of accusations and recriminations between Camp Corbyn and Camp Sultana. And straight away, that's a problem to my mind that the way that it's being perceived by me and other people is that it's two ex-Labour MPs that are, and then questions about is it just Corbyn's being naive and being used, and Sultana's too overambitious, and it's like, uh, I mean, the whole thing about the name in itself, wasn't it? And then like, is it going to end up being called Party Your Muck Party Face Party or something because of the Boaty McBoaty face? That's just that whole thing is it's the gift that keeps giving. That thing of like, let's put it out to a general wide public internet vote about what we should call this important research vessel, and the public says Boaty McBoatface, and they go, no, we're not going to call it that. We're going to call the little robot submarine attached to the side that, and we're going to call the actual ship something sensible. For God's sake, the UK, you had one job, and you fucked it up. I love it. You have to take joy where you can, don't you? So yeah, your party, my party face. Your party, no, your party. Our party, no, your. Oh God, yeah. And because the thing is, they needed to such promise, and then it just feel like it's been completely squandered. And I am sad about it because if we're going to get proportional representation soon being a relative term, is it soon in a few years or soon as in the next couple of election cycles? Then we need more collaboration and coalitions, as you say, and that should be is a general ethos of the left as well, right? Cooperation rather than just competition all the time. And the stereotype of the left, both within itself and outside of itself, is that we love infighting, and it's like, yeah, this party's infighting before it's even got off the ground and got a name. Jeez. Oh, that's just reminded me of something in nature. There was a short nature series years ago on TV, and they were doing 4 different animals that were like kind of unusual and looking at their life cycles in detail. One of them was like a penguin, one of them was a parasitic wasp, and there was another one, and then there were sharks. A particular type of shark was another one. And this shark, when the baby sharks, because sharks are born live, when the baby sharks are in the in the mum shark together, the siblings, before they're born, they start attacking and eating each other. So the baby sharks that are born are the survivors of the bloodbath, literally, that has occurred between the siblings before they're even born. And I'm like, Jesus. So yeah, I don't know if your party birth has been quite as traumatic as that, but it's that did come to mind when we've just been thinking about it. Yeah. So right, I am definitely going now, Casper. I'm so sorry, but I need to go. I need to go and eat. So I I might pop up in a few days. It might be a few months. Who knows? Um, we'll see. And as I've said to people, if people want to come up, then you can always ask for a link. And depending on who you are, Casper, you obviously would receive one. I will get a link to you. So yeah, if you want to try and find me on Twitter or Facebook, my links are on my about page. And then if you want to hit me up, then that way, if you did ever want to get a DM with a panel link, then I've got a way of contacting you rather than dropping it in chat, because I don't want to have to look at people's ugly mush in the basement that I don't want to talk to. So yeah, so with that, I hope you all fared thee well. It was good to see you, Casper. Nice to see you in the internets when I do. It's always nice to see people that you know and like, especially in these trying times. So yes, so that is Alimi saying goodbye for now.